I never imagined that one ordinary morning could spiral into the kind of nightmare I couldn't have prepared for. But before we continue, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell for updates. My husband, David, had been detained overnight, and I was standing outside the police station at 11 a.m., gripping my coat tighter than usual, feeling every nerve in my body tense like a live wire. You've probably wondered what it's like to be powerless while the person you love is being questioned by strangers with badges. Let me tell you, it's terrifying. And in those moments, fear doesn't just creep up on you. It consumes you entirely. I rushed in, heart pounding, and the fluorescent lights of the station hit me like a spotlight. The air smelled like disinfectant and anxiety. Officers moved with a quiet precision, their eyes occasionally flicking toward me. And then it happened. A female officer walked past, her heels clicking sharply on the tile floor. She was young, maybe 28, with an unreadable expression. In the briefest moment, she slipped something into my hand. I didn't even notice it at first. I was too focused on the glass partition where David was being questioned. But then I felt it, a small folded piece of paper. I opened it cautiously. The words were scrawled in tight, hurried handwriting. Don't come again. Check the camera. My pulse doubled. What did that mean? Was it a warning, a threat, or something worse? The paper felt like a live wire in my hand, sparking every fear I had, yet igniting a curiosity I couldn't ignore. I had no choice but to follow the invisible thread it represented. David was sitting there, looking smaller than usual, a mix of confusion and frustration etched across his face. He didn't notice the note. He couldn't. And honestly, I didn't know if anyone else would. At that moment, the police station felt less like a place of law and order and more like a stage where every glance, every gesture, and every shadow was loaded with secrets I wasn't yet ready to understand. I took a deep breath and asked myself, what if this note was my only chance to see the truth? To protect him? Or maybe, to destroy what we thought we knew? But before I could even start to make sense of it, a sound drew my eyes to the security cameras overhead, silently recording everything. And I knew in that instant that nothing here was as simple as it seemed. I clutched the note tighter. I had no idea what I was about to witness. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Have you ever felt that sinking feeling, the one where your instincts scream that something is very wrong, even before your mind can catch up? That's exactly how I felt as I watched David through the glass partition. He was trying to explain himself, hands slightly raised, but the words came out in nervous stammers. Anna, it's nothing, I swear. They'll let me go. His eyes searched mine for reassurance, and I wanted to give it to him, but that note in my pocket burned against my palm, refusing to let me relax. The officer questioning him, a middle-aged man with a sharp jaw and colder eyes than I'd ever seen, kept interrupting, his tone polite but rigid. It was the kind of politeness that cuts deeper than anger because it masks control. Every time David tried to speak, the officer leaned back, raised an eyebrow, and tilted the conversation until David's words no longer made sense. I noticed tiny things, how he moved the files around, how another officer kept glancing at the cameras as if they weren't just monitoring the room, but us, me, watching everything unfold. And then she appeared again, Clara Vega. The same young officer who had handed me the note. She lingered just out of sight, casually pretending to adjust a file at the front desk. But I caught her eyes. They weren't ordinary. There was a calculation in them, a silent message that said, "Watch carefully. You're not supposed to see this." I started to replay the note in my head. Don't come again. Check the camera. Why would she warn me not to come? And what was I supposed to see on the camera? Was it David? Or something else? Something I couldn't yet imagine? Every instinct screamed that I was stepping into dangerous territory, yet I couldn't stop myself. David's voice cracked, desperation creeping in. Anna, I don't understand why this is happening. My heart ached for him, and anger surged toward the officers, toward the system, and toward the invisible forces in that station that seemed to be controlling everything. And then I saw it, a flicker on the corner of one of the monitors. Movement. Someone deliberately adjusting items in the room in a way that didn't match the timeline we'd been told. My breath caught. My pulse raced. I realized in that instant that the camera wasn't just recording, it was showing me the truth. And the truth was far more dangerous than I could have imagined. But before I could even take a step toward it, Clara moved again, her expression unreadable, and whispered, almost under her breath, "Stay calm, and don't let them see you noticing." Have you ever felt the weight of a secret pressing so hard against your chest that it's almost unbearable? That's exactly what hit me as I hovered near the monitors, my eyes locked on the flickering images. I could see David, sitting rigid, answering questions he didn't fully understand, while another officer moved with precision, carefully shifting items on the desk. Every motion was deliberate, almost rehearsed. And every time the camera panned, it captured a story no one had warned me about. I kept glancing at the note in my hand. Check the camera. The words were simple, but the meaning was anything but. Did Clara want me to expose something? Or was it a warning of the danger I'd walk into if I did? My mind raced. I couldn't risk David's safety, but I also couldn't ignore what I was seeing. I began to piece things together. The items being moved weren't random. The files, a small pen, a notebook, placed strategically to make it seem like David had tampered with evidence. My stomach twisted. Was this what Clara had been trying to show me? A setup. My heart pounded faster. How many people in that room were complicit? How deep did this go? As I watched, I felt the full weight of isolation. No one else knew what I was seeing. No one else could help me. And yet, at that very moment, I felt a strange sense of determination rising. I had to document this. I had to figure out what was really happening. But how could I do it without putting us both at risk? And then, just as quickly as the tension had built, Clara appeared again, standing in the shadows near the entrance. Her gaze locked with mine, and she mouthed something I almost missed. Not yet. Wait for the right moment. My stomach sank. She wasn't just helping me, she was orchestrating when and how I'd see the truth. I realized then that I was no longer just a bystander. I was a witness to something much bigger than a simple detention. And the next move I made could either save David or destroy us both. But as I looked back at the monitor, my blood ran cold. Someone was approaching the security room, and I knew that if they saw me there, everything would unravel in an instant. Have you ever wished you could unsee something? I did right at that moment, but I couldn't. My eyes were glued to the monitor, watching events unfold that felt impossible, yet were painfully real. David sat there, tense and bewildered, unaware that the scene around him was being manipulated. An officer moved with calculated precision, planting items, adjusting papers, subtly creating a story that would make David appear guilty. Every movement was deliberate, every second captured by the cold, unblinking camera. My heart raced. This wasn't just a routine detention, it was a setup. And I, holding the note in my hand, had been given a glimpse into something no one was supposed to see. I felt my pulse in my ears as I tried to make sense of it all. Why warn me? Why risk showing me this? Clara Vega, the officer who slipped me the note, stood just out of sight, her presence both reassuring and terrifying. She was helping me, but only in ways I couldn't yet understand. I had to think fast. How could I protect David without drawing attention to myself? The weight of the secret was crushing, but ignoring it wasn't an option. I started taking mental notes. The sequence of movements, the way evidence was placed, the subtle gestures that made the entire room feel like a stage for a show I wasn't meant to witness. Every instinct screamed that we were in danger, yet I also knew that this footage might be the only thing that could save him. Then came the twist that made my stomach drop. One of the officers glanced toward the security monitor, noticing the flicker of motion where I was. My throat went dry. If they realized someone was watching, someone who wasn't supposed to, they would know immediately. Panic surged through me, but Clara's eyes found mine, steady and unwavering, silently telling me to stay calm. I realized in that instant that everything hinged on my next move. I had to act carefully. One wrong step, one small sound, and everything would collapse. I could feel the tension coiling tighter with every second. David's freedom, our future, and the truth itself, all of it depended on what I would do next. And then, just as I was about to make my move, the monitor caught something else, a shadow moving behind the glass partition. Someone else was coming. Someone who wasn't meant to see this. My stomach sank as I realized this was far bigger than I imagined. I never expected a day at the police station to feel like walking through a minefield, but by the time I stepped out, everything had changed. The footage I'd seen, the secret note, Clara's subtle guidance. It all culminated in a reality I wasn't prepared for. David was finally released, exhausted and confused, but safe for now. Yet the truth lingered like a shadow over us. What we had witnessed couldn't be unseen, and the danger of it being exposed loomed over every step we took. Walking out into the sunlight, I felt a mixture of relief and dread. Relief that David was free, dread that what we now knew could destroy us if the wrong person discovered it. I clutched the note in my pocket, the simple words echoing in my mind, "Don't come again. Check the camera." They weren't just instructions, they were a lifeline, a warning, and perhaps a test of trust. Clara had chosen to involve me, and in doing so, she had changed the course of events entirely. We drove home in silence. Every sound of traffic, every pedestrian we passed, felt amplified. My mind replayed the footage, the subtle movements, the careful orchestration of a crime being fabricated before my eyes. I thought about the officers, about David's vulnerability, and about the fragile thread that had kept us safe. One wrong glance, one careless word, and it could have ended very differently. I looked at David and saw the confusion in his eyes, the exhaustion etched into his face. He didn't know what I had witnessed, didn't know how close we had come to disaster. Could I tell him? Should I? Some truths, I realized, were too dangerous to share, at least for now. But holding that knowledge changed me. It made me sharper, more aware, and more determined. And as we stepped inside our apartment, I thought back to Clara, to that note, to the security camera that had revealed so much. Sometimes help comes in unexpected ways, and sometimes danger hides behind the most ordinary of gestures. The note might have saved us or warned us. I still wasn't sure which. But one thing was certain, the events at the police station had left a mark. And some secrets, once seen, cannot be forgotten.